Hello everyone, in this Power BI tutorial we will discuss about the aggregation functions and we will see different types of aggregation functions are available. The aggregation functions calculates the scalar values such as sum, count, maximum, minimum, average for all rows within a table as defined by a given expression. So first function is the sum function. Sum function is used to add all the numerical values in a column and it returns a decimal or whole value. So here you can see the syntax of the sum. Sum in function we need to provide the column which we want to add. So now let's see how we can do this in Power BI. So for this, we will navigate to the Power BI. As here I have already created the measure. So I will show you the sum of cells. So here I have click on the new measure. Then the formula block box will open. And here I have provide the measure name. And here I have provide the measure formula. So this is the expression sum function. I will just commit it and then I can use it in the visual. Let's use one card visual and select this total cells and you can see the total cell is 10k. And if I will add one table visual, let's take some columns called product and the cells. And here also you can see the total cell is 10,240 as it is showing in the 10k. So this is what the total cell is. Next, move forward to our another aggregation function. So our next aggregation function is average functions. This is used to calculate the arithmetic mean or average of all the numerical values in a column. It returns a decimal number by calculating the arithmetic mean of a number in a column. And you can see the syntax average function accepts the column we want to calculate the average of. And here I have taken the example of cells. Average cells I am calculating by providing the cells column. So now let's see how we can do this in Power BI. So in Power BI, just click on the new measure and then you can write this formula. So here you can see I have already created this measure. So I am showing this measure, average cells and the average. Once you write this measure, you just need to commit it. So I will show you the average cells. So I will click on this. I will remove the total cells from the card visual. I will add the average cells. So here the average cells of the product. Next we will discuss about the minimum function. So this is used to get the smallest value from a column or between two expressions. So this function supports data types called numbers, text, dates, and blanks. For example, if you want to get the minimum from a column, then you have to use this syntax. Or if you want to get the minimum between the two expressions, then you can use this syntax. That minimum, first provide the expression 1 and then comma and then provide the expression 2. So here is an example of the from where we are getting the minimum from the cells column. So it will return the minimum cells value. Now we will navigate to the Power BI. So here you can see the minimum cells measure and this will calculate the minimum cells. So let's remove the average cells and I will select the minimum cells. So here the minimum cells is 160 and if I will go to the table view and here I will just make it ascending order. So it will show you in ascending order and you can see the minimum cells is 160. Similarly, we can calculate the maximum cells for the cells column. For this, we need to use max function and let's change this one also. Max cells. So here you can see the maximum cells is the 750. Now let's go back to the table data and you can see the maximum cells is the 750. So this is how we can calculate the minimum and maximum using DAX aggregation function. So next we will talk about the count function. This function will count the number of rows in a column that contains non-blank values. It returns a whole number The function will count the number of cells in a column if the data type is number, dates, and or strings. So here we will see how we can count the number. So for this, the syntax is the count column only accepts the column of the table. And here I have provided the column of the table is ID, and it will count the number of IDs are available. So now let's go back to the Power BI. So this is the count expression that counts the number of ID. Okay. So I will remove this maximum cells and I will add the count ID, and you can see the count ID is 30. If I will go to the data, and you can see there are 30. It is in serial number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up to 30. So it count the number of rows in your table. So next is the distinct count function. This function is used to count the number of the unique values in a column. It returns the number of distinct values in a column. So distinct count function accepts the column, and you can see the example of the distinct count function. Distinct count function, here I have provided the product name, and it will count the number of unique name is available in the product name column. So here you can see the distinct count product name, and if I will click on this, I will select this one, and you can see there are 15 distinct products are available, and here you can see all the names of the distinct product. There are 15 distinct products are available in our table. So next is the COUNTX function. This function is used to count the number of rows that contains non-empty values, or expression that calculates the non-empty values when calculating an expression over a table. So this function accepts two parameters, that is table and the expression. So in this example, it is calculating the number of count ID based on the product name Nobel. If the product name is Nobel, then it will count the ID. So now let's see how we can do this in Power BI. So here you can see the formula for to count the ID based on the product name is Nobel. So you can see here, so there are two Nobel product is available. If I will add count ID to the table, and here you can see the Nobel having the two ID. So now let's select this one, and we will select count Nobel. You can see there are two Nobel. So COUNTX function will accepts the column you want to count and the expression. Like you want to filter the Nobel. Also, if you want to filter the is equal to blender, then it will show you the 4. So next is the COUNTA function. This function is also used to count the number of cells in a field that is non-empty. So it also accepts one parameter, that is column, and we can see the example of the COUNTA function. Now let's see how we can do this in Power BI. So this is the count A. So here I will add one count A only, and here I will select the product name, and I will close the bracket and will commit the formula. Now it will return 30, as it will only count the non-empty values in the table. So it will return 30 because we have in our table we have 30 rows. So this is how we can use the count A function. Now next move forward to our next function. Next is our COUNTAX function. This function is used to count the non-blank output while calculating the result of an expression over a table. Also, it works like the COUNTA function, but it iterates through the rows in a table and counts the non-blank output of the specified expression. So this function accepts two parameter, that is table and the expression. So you can see the example here. We have provided the table as an filter. So in filter we are providing the table name, and the table is table product name is equal to Nobel, then it will count the ID. So now let's see. So it will count the ID based on the product name is equal to Nobel. So it will return true as we have already saw. Like count A function will only count the row, but count AX function accepts one expression. So, so this is the count AX function. It will count the ID based on the product name is equal to Nobel. Now remove the count ID and select the count AX function, and you can see here the count is 2. Next we will discuss about the SUMX function. This function is used to get the sum of an expression evaluated for each row in the table. So this function accepts two parameters, that is table and the expression. Here you can see the example of the SUMX function. It accepts the table and we have provided the expression as a measure. Now let's see how we can use this in Power BI. So this is the SUMX expression which I have shown you an example, and this will calculate for the, sorry, here I have written load backlog Nobel. Okay, this will calculate the total sales for the Nobel product. So just remove this one and just use this one. It will show 400, and if I will go to the Nobel, and you can see the value is 400 total sales. So our next function is the average function. This function calculates the average or arithmetic mean of a set of values obtained from expression and calculated over a table. So in this case, average function also accepts two parameter, table and expression. So here you can see the example. It will calculate the average sales for the product is equal to Nobel. Now let's go and see what is the average sales. How we can use the average function in Power BI. So this is the function. This function accepts the filter when the filter the table, and if the table product name is equal to Nobel, then it will filter those values, and then it will calculate the average sales. So if I will use this measure in our cart visual. So you can see the average sale is 200 because the total sale of the Nobel is 400 by 2, because there are two products you can see here, two products, and the average of the total sale of the two product is 400 and the average will be 200. So this is how we can use the aggregation function. To learn more about the aggregation function, you can go to the Microsoft documents and you can see here there other functions like count rows, count non blank values, count blank values. All these functions are available. You can check out there. Thank you so much. That's all for today.